about making decisions, obstacles, taking action, and there's going to be momentum. So I would prepare for potentially obstacles that you'll have to make a decision on, but I feel like in this month there's like momentum where you're moving forward. There's action that you need to take, and obstacles can be an opportunity for us to actually move forward in something, to solve something, so we keep that momentum going. Obstacles can create that diversion sometimes to keep us on the right track. This doesn't have to be like someone in your life as a Sagittarius, it could be, but this can also be like the Sagittarius energy, especially in regards to making decisions, taking action. Sagittarius is a fire sign, so it's creating that movement through action. So it's really taking the archetype of Sagittarius and the energy of Sagittarius and implementing that in your month. The South Node, which is about potentially, the South Node is our past life essentially, or things we have already learned, things that are comfortable, gifts and lessons that you already have obtained from a prior lifetime. North Node, to get to the potential of the North Node, we have to be in like the presence of our South Node and understand the gifts and lessons we have already received. But the South Node is also something that we have already attained. So it can be a reminder to like let go of what you have already learned or gifts you are trying to like obtain in the side, because it's already done, it's already obtained. But in order to get to the North Node, we have to like appreciate our South Node and be in the presence of our South Node. This could be like your South Node isn't Sagittarius, have inner wisdom. The back of the deck, North Node, destiny and challenges. So right now in June 2024 for you Cancer, it is about to get to the North Node. You really have to like be in the presence of your South Node, and this can essentially just be like looking at just being aware of what your gifts and lessons are, and it can be like, for instance, my South Node is in Leo, so it can be a presence of like understanding, for instance, like if I'm trying to constantly perform for other people to get that validation, to feed that ego, but an example of and I'm expressing this as an example of how this can come out if you're constantly being in the South Node when you are really actually needing to move on to your North Node. How this can be is that like you're in your gifts and lessons of, for instance, for me, my South Node is in Leo, so I'm in constantly performing, but I'm not getting that validation, and that's because in this life I'm not supposed to. You're supposed to appreciate the gifts and lessons and understand like what they are, but it's wasted energy to try to use this life to feed your South Node, because it's interesting in regards to the South Node how in my own experience how my South Node has been expressed is that when I do try to perform for other people, I don't get that validation that potentially a North Node or a Leo Sun gets, because I'm not supposed to. So it's like knowing where your gifts and lessons are and knowing where, and then being in that presence of your South Node, which in turn will easily lead you to your North Node. To get to our North Node, we have to understand where we are right now, and to do that we have to like appreciate our South Node. So this can be simply just like taking a few moments of just like being in your South Node and understanding your South Node, but not being so completely absorbed by it you can completely miss where you're supposed to be in this life, where your South Node leads to your North Node. Something to understand also, a North Node isn't going to be comfortable because it's not what we're used to. South Node is going to be comfortable. So if you have like karma, and I'm getting like your South Node, your gifts and lessons is actually there's going to be an inner wisdom in your talents that you are here for. So this can be the obstacles of like, obstacles are showing up because I feel like we expect like, oh, our purpose, when we find our purpose, when we find our destiny, it's going to be easeful. But what I have learned from my own experience is that stepping into your North Node is actually going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be this like uncomfortability with it because you're not used to it, because this is an energy, it is your destiny, but there's going to be challenges because you're not used to it. And if you continuously keep going back to your South Node because it's comfortable, because it's easy, you're going to waste the potential of reaching your destiny in this life. Aquarius, their ruling planet is Jupiter, and Jupiter is about expansion. It's about opening. Some people direct Jupiter as the planet that where we can get fortune, but Jupiter also expands whatever house you have your sign in. This is about a connection between your physical body and mind. Ruled by Jupiter, this sign, Sagittarius, is adventurous, aspirational, optimistic, and they seek occurrences to help them to set free their spirit and open their hearts. What Sagittarius values is honesty and experiences that allow them to reach a higher level of consciousness. And I feel like that is going to be through obstacles, through lessons, in order to gain that inner wisdom. So we have the King of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Swords, we have the Moon, which is your card. So I'm already seeing that there's like a duality, because we're seeing a King of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords, and even if they're not in the same suit, this is Earth and Swords, and there's something from your subconscious. This can be illusions. And 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups is basically about like getting everything, but I'm seeing that with the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords, I'm seeing that this has to do with like some kind of union, and there's a subconscious, like whenever people come, like kings, queens, those are people in our lives, or those are ourselves essentially. But because we have the 10 of Cups and the Moon, this is I'm getting that this is subconsciously coming from relationships, like a relationship. Like this is something like you're so completely obsessed with each other. Okay, sorry, I was totally wrong. This is actually the King of Cups. I don't know why why I thought it was a King of Pentacles. I guess like the antlers and deer is connected to like earth. Okay, so this is the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is someone that is have a mastery of their emotions. There's logic involved. They are very intellectually versed in understanding their emotions. This king shows himself as a stag, so he is meditating over a large vessel. So the King of Cups is the master of emotion and intellect. The king is emotionally invested in each situation, showing love and empathy, all while maintaining the knowledge and logic needed to deal with any given situation. This individual is able to remain calm, taking the necessary steps and finding the solution while considering emotional well-being of those around you. And that with the King of Cups with the Queen of Swords, this is also having that empathy, understanding from the mind, logic, as well as your emotions. This can be really looking deep within balance of your emotions as well as balance of your intellect, to really where it's having like emotional intuition as well as mind intuition. Something from your subconscious is going to come up. There's going to be a kind of like submersion of your subconscious of the Moon. This can be going into your shadow, where you will need that balance. That balance will be important, especially if you have a tendency of losing yourself in your emotions, being completely submerged. I keep getting that feeling of like when you've lost yourself in an emotional state of an individual, or if you're a person that basically loses themselves in people or situations, to the point like you're so completely submerged that I'm just getting like a drowning aspect. Like they're so completely in love, but they're blinded to the fact like the subconscious leading them to getting their emotional fulfillment is then in the end, like it's almost like a drowning aspect, because the octopus is like slowly putting its legs around them. So 10 of Cups shows a happiness of fulfillment, getting what you want, getting your dream life. But with the moon in this signifying 10 of Cups, it also almost shows like turmoil, almost like you're so lost, you're not able to see the shadow aspect of what you have attained. With the moon, this is about like intuition, but I think something's gonna come up, like some shit's gonna come up, like our shadow self. Like when the moon comes out, it illuminates the shadow aspects that we don't want to see because they're blindfolded. But we can see that the large tentacle closely tied upon the statues of these two lovers. The 10 of Cups is a card that represents fulfillment, particularly in romantic sphere of life. So definitely trust your intuition with the moon to guide you towards a life that will bring you happiness and satisfaction. Furthermore, take a moment to appreciate the blessings in your life and reflect on the peace you have achieved. But the 10 of Cups comes from having a balance of the King of Cups with the Queen of Swords. So I want to study a little more of these two cards. So this combination, the moon with the 10 of Cups, is showing that in June 2024, or you're already experiencing a time of emotional turmoil and uncertainty, but also this is a sense of deep satisfaction and fulfillment. So the moon may be encouraging you to explore your subconscious spheres and emotions, while the 10 of Cups is reminding you, Cancer, to appreciate the blessings in your life and find joy in your relationship. Maybe facing hidden obstacles or challenges that you need to overcome this month, or you can actually find true happiness and emotional fulfillment. This combination, the moon with the 10 of Cups, is actually encouraging you to trust your intuition and emotions, to find happiness in your relationships, connections with others. It reminds you that even in times of uncertainty and turmoil, there is a sense of joy and contentment you can find in your life. And that intuition is that balance of your emotions with your mind. So this is really tapping into your water energy, emotional empathy, as well as intellectuality that comes with air signs. So let's study this combination, because I think this is interesting, the King of Cups with the Queen of Swords. So this combination together form a unique combination of emotional intelligence and mental clarity. This combination also signifies a deep understanding of your emotions and the ability to use one's intelligence in a practical way to achieve success. This month, Cancer, you might need to make a significant decision that requires both emotional intelligence and logical thinking. It also signifies the need for balance and control over emotions while taking decisions based on rational thinking. Damn, the Devil. So the Devil with the aspect of the moon, this tells me like there's something that the Devil is connected to our temptations, to that dark aspect of ourselves. Obviously, this imagery is a lot more dark than this illustrations, where you are letting your temptations or your dark shadow aspect live for you. And when we're not, and that's why shadow work with the Devil and the moon is so important, because we don't want to live a life where we let our dark shadow, not to say that our dark shadow aspects are bad or good, they're not. We have to understand that our light and our shadow, the point of it is to immerse them in a yin and yang, not to separate themselves where we live in a polarity. The point of it is to immerse ourselves where both create that yin and yang movement and flow, where one kind of goes into the other and one leads. But when we're so much in the Devil aspect, then this is where we let our addictions lead. Like we're not even living our life, because our addictions are kind of, our shadow aspect is living our life for us. And this can be like when we don't have the moon with the Devil, when we don't have our inner child healed, then our inner child kind of makes decisions for us that might not be good, such as like if you're an individual where you've had relational trauma, you might and you haven't healed that inner child, you might find yourself in situations where you naturally like socially just exclude yourself, and you identify yourself as a person like who's antisocial. You have to look at like how your shadow aspect is leading you in your life when we haven't healed that, or when we haven't looked at that part and how our shadow aspect actually leads us. Or if you tend to have coping mechanisms that are not so healthy, such as drinking, or I'm not saying those things are bad, they're not. I drink, I tap into that, but it's like when we use them to basically cope with emotional, like if you drink just to drink, or you drink by yourself to the point of like self-sabotaging, like you have a new job opportunity and you drink so much that you can't go to that opportunity, that's what essentially I'm talking about. It gets us excited, and this can be that Sagittarius energy where like you get excited about, because Sagittarius, they're very like, they're on the go, like they're on the pursuit, they're very social, they're very outgoing, they want to be, usually Sagittarius have a lot of friends, but like they're very community driven also. And the Sagittarius is an imagery of the archer, so they're on to the next thing. And so the sun can be about like what ignites you, what gets you excited, and being in that energy of what warms you, because that's what the sun does. It's like what warms you up, what heats you up. But the devil with the sun, this can be like you're so much that obsessive energy, like you're so obsessed of like continuously doing things that only excite you, that only give you pleasure, that your subconscious has to come through to really balance out that energy, because we can't always be in the pleasure. The whole point of the human life is that we can't always be in the pleasure. And that can be like the devil. Like you're obsessed with feeding that pleasure card. You're obsessed with feeding your ego. You're obsessed with feeding your sun. In astrology, the sun is about our ego. It's about our identity. The Eight of Pentacles is about a continuously working. It's basically building on your craftsmanship. So right now you might be just doing your job, or this can be a signal to like work on your craftsmanship, work on something. But it's also like doing something over and over again until you master it. So there's something in like a job where you're continuously doing something in order to master a craft or a skill. And this is about like a physical thing, like a product. Like you've already made your manifestation and then you're waiting for your sales to come in. The Three of Wands is essentially you're on the hilltop, you know what you want, you've made the choice. And so the Eight of Pentacles with Three of Wands is essentially just like continue doing what you're doing, and the thing that you're waiting for will come. Continue mastering your craft, continue mastering your skill set, whatever that is, and the sales will come. Your manifestation will come. But I'm getting like, don't just be waiting, because like, what's the phrase? The clock is slower when we're watching it, or something like that. Like there's something in your career in June 2024 that you just need to be like focus on a skill set while you're waiting. You've already made, and they're going to come in. And this goes perfectly, honestly, with the 10 of Cups and 3 of Wands, because you are going to get that emotional fulfillment even through obstacles. The moon is that inner wisdom too. It's that inner guidance. When we're not listening to our inner guidance, the moon can come out where our subconscious then has to like overpower us, and that's where like the shadow comes in, because we're not listening to our inner wisdom, and the moon comes out to show us our shadow so then we can move forward. But also the sun with the Eight of Pentacles, I'm seeing like this is like working on what excites you. We can't just be continuously working on something when it's draining us. So this is something that's something in regards to your inner child or your child self that you've always wanted to do. Like, you know, obviously this is just like making pentacles, but this could be like a craftsmanship, like jewelry making or entrepreneurship or getting yourself a skill set while you're waiting for your manifestation to come. Even with the devil, the cards are going in the right direction, but what you really need to do is you really need to look into your shadow. And I mean, if you just don't look at the devil and you look at it looks good. It's like focus on what lights you up and you developing a skill set and your manifestation will come. But we do have the devil with the moon. And this is all about, well, your lessons. But this is also about like things that are like you're harboring inside and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Because that's what the devil is. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. And it's those like pulls in our darkness that then come out. So when we don't give our shadow self the reflection it needs, like a space to really reflect on like, why do I drink so much, or like why do I drink so much in social situations to the point of basically knocking myself out, or well, maybe there's some relational trauma going on where you can't deal with relationships or family dynamics without having, it's like that Chiron, and I mean Cancer is affiliated with family, and so it's like look at what like binds you, because it's those things that we feel we have no control over. It's like, oh well, that's just how I am because this is what happened to me. But you have an opportunity to change it by the moon illuminating your shadows, illuminating what like dark aspects or dark energies are like keeping you from people that are like, oh, I mean, that's just what I do. I'm just an alcoholic. And you're just like, maybe you should look into that, because like they say it in a way where it's like it can't change it, but you always have an opportunity to look at your shadows, and your shadow self is your innermost wounded self that has a lesson, and lessons by obstacles grow, we transform. There's growth in obstacles, and when we don't do that, there's stagnation. So let's look at this a little more. The devil with the sun. So there might be for you, Cancer, a struggle between your desires and addictions and your need for fulfillment and positivity this month. The presence of the devil card in this combination implies that you might be giving in to negative habits, thoughts, or influences that might be limiting your growth and well-being. You might be feeling chained and powerless to overcome your negative patterns. However, the Sun card is bringing you hope, as it indicates that you have the potential to break free from these chains and rise above destructive patterns. You are being encouraged to take a step back and appreciate the good things in your life while working towards personal growth and fulfillment. The sun with the devil, this is telling you, Cancer, to focus on your self-improvement journey and strive towards positive growth while reflecting on your actions and patterns. Also, the Eight of Pentacles with the Three of Wands, like I said before, this is indicating that you have a clear vision or goal in mind and are putting in the effort to make it a reality. You're dedicated to your craft and skill and are willing to put in the time and effort required to achieve your objective. For that 10 of Cups, this is encouraging you, Cancer, to look towards the future with optimism and to trust in your abilities to achieve success. But you have to remain focused on your goal to stay committed to your work even in the face of difficulties and challenges, which is the devil with a moon. And I also just wanted to mention with the devil, you can see his hand arrangement, and often you can see this imagery with Baphomet, but as above, so below. So this has to do like, as a reference of as above, so below is like what's in your subconscious going to mirror in your reality. So like as above, so below. those are, the moon is about mirroring. So it's about like your conscious is going to mirror your subconscious. That is why people often say, like, if you want change in your physical, you need to change your inner. You need to focus on your inner self, and that to change your outer circumstances have nothing to do with anything except your inner self. To do that, we have to do the work to go inward